Welcome to Flash from Scratch, Tutorial 7, Free Transform Tool. I have the CS5 program opened and I'm opening a new FLA, keeping the default, closing the Properties panel for now, and right here, this is the Free Transform Tool. In order to use it, you have to have something on the stage. So I have two colors. Pick any two colors you want, and I'm going to use my rectangle tool. Draw a rectangle. There it is. And now I'm going to select my Free Transform tool, and when I do, it gives me these squares. I'm going to, while I got the crosshairs, right click on it, copy it, and paste it in place. And drag it up. That gives me two of the same rectangle. Going to paste it in place again, and that gives me three of the same rectangle, and paste it in place once more, and that gives me four to work with. So I'm going to select this first one, and notice down here that I have these different options. So I'm going to make sure this one is selected, and when I select this one down here, it's called the envelope. Watch up here. When I select it, I get all these vector points. So I can pull on these points, and then I get these arms which I can move. Let's go back to that again. I get these arms that I can move, and I can move these and shape that. It's similar to something called Bezier. I'm not overly good at it, but you see you can turn it into any shape. Okay. Let's select this one, and we'll select this tool where it's called Scale. Scale means I can move it up and down, and when I do, whichever corner I'm pulling, the other corner stays still. Okay. If I pull it from this side will stay still. If I pull it from the center, the bottom will stay still. On an angle, and they both move. Okay, let's select this one, and let's go to this one here. It's called Rotate and Skew. So now watch, when I get on the corner, I'm going to be able to rotate it. Rotate it anywhere I wish. The skew means if I grab it here on this plane and pull it, I can do that. That's skewing. Okay. I can pull the corners, nothing's going to happen. Okay, on this one. And the last one we'll select for this one here is this thing here. It's called Distort. And I can just pull this over here. Pull this way. Bring this up like that. That's called distorting it. So all the different things you can do with this Free Transform tool. I'm going to use my selection tool right here. Highlight all that. Hit my delete key. Now I'm going to go back to the rectangle tool. Pick up a rectangle. Now show you what's called the selection tool, what it can do. Not only can it select things like this and highlight them, but you can also, when you have it, selection tool, notice if I walk up to it, I get those crosshairs. I can right click on it, and I can, for example, like I did before, copy it. I can come down here, paste it in place, and that gives me two of them. I did that because I selected it with the selection tool. If I click off to the side, I have neither of them selected. Okay, so if I want to delete one, I'll select it, delete it. That's one thing the selection tool is, but it's also good for drawing. If you creep up to it, you see I got that arch. I can pull that like that. Get the arch, I can pull it like that. If I get onto a sharp point, I get that corner, and I can pull that. I do a lot of my drawings with this tool here. We've almost got it back to a rectangle again. pull it here, arches. Okay, let's use the selection tool and delete that. I'm going to make another rectangle. Pick up this, what's called the subselection tool. Select it and move in on it and get that little dot. And now when I pull this, I can distort it. Let's go here and make a circle for a minute. Circle, subselection tool, highlight it, double click, and you get all these points that you can pull on. And you get this arm, that's Bezier effect again, where I can move it around, shape it. Oops. If I click here, get those dots. I can move them. And I got those little arms I can work with. So with some practice, you might find some use for these. I want to try something a bit different. If you go up here under File, Import to Stage, and this will take you to a point where you can browse your computer. And I have a picture here, a Jpeg. I'm going to double click on it, and that puts that on my stage. Because it's a Jpeg, if I try to use this subselection tool on it, nothing happens. It doesn't do anything. It can't do anything with it. I can, on the other hand, select it, as you see, and I can move it, and I can use my free transform tool and do all the things that we seen with the free transform tool. I can do all that. So if I want to use the subselection tool for anything, there's a neat little trick. So use your selection tool, select it, come up to this thing called modify, click on it, and right here it says break apart, click it, and you'll see that the picture turns fuzzy. Click off to the side. Now click on the subselection tool, come over here and just click on the edge. And I want to show you that again. Just click on the edge and you get these squares. You see those squares? If you don't have the squares, you can't do this. I'm going to make my stage a little smaller, and if I grab those squares and pull them, I duplicate the picture over and over and over again. Well, I didn't have a square there. Grab the square, and you can fill that whole thing in. It'd be great for making a pattern for a background or something. Just a little trick. So once you have those squares set up, you can do that. And there, just like a little pattern. So that's a little neat thing. You might want to try that. I hope you learned something from this short tutorial, and I hope you use what you learned.